Hello there, and welcome back to the Showing Up to Life podcast and YouTube channel. My name is Art Burns. I'm here on the 29th of December. This week between Christmas and New Year's, am I right? It's just like, it's who knows where we are, what day it is, what time it is. Am I supposed to be working? Am I supposed to be playing? What's going on? Am I right? So, it's Wednesday, and I'm here. My Monday, technically, and your Wednesday. And I'm here talking to you. And I wanted to tell you about something that's really, hopefully, a really wonderful opportunity for everyone here who's listening and watching to this message right now. Okay, I'm going to do. I sent out in one of my videos not too long ago. I mentioned that I was going to be doing a kind of a webinar sort of presentation about New Year's resolutions. Right, and I've gotten a few replies already, so it's definitely going to happen. I'm going to do it on New Year's Day, and I'm going to make it a little bit more than just talking about New Year's resolutions. We're going to cover New Year's resolutions, how to set a New Year's resolution that works, right? And how to make that New Year's resolution work. I'm going to give you some training on that, but we're going to make it a little bit more than that, okay? And part of it's going to be, what I want to do is I want to offer you a guided meditation, okay, for the new year, for awakenings, for new beginnings, that kind of thing. And then we'll go into sort of the mindfulness of and compassion of resolutions. And then we'll even do a little question and answer kind of thing. So if you're interested in it, it's all free, okay? It's completely free for you, for all of you who are in my tribe, as I like to call you, with the most endearing, that comes straight from my heart to call you my tribe. And so everyone who listens, everyone who subscribes to me, everyone who's on TikTok, on my mailing list, all of you are invited, every single person. I'm going to send out an email later, either tonight or tomorrow. I just have to get everything set up for like a registration link and stuff, and that technical stuff sometimes takes me a little time, so please bear with me, but I'll get that out to you as soon as possible so you can register for it and get reminders and that kind of stuff. But it will be happening this Saturday, okay, which is New Year's Day. It too early for you, I promise, because I remember New Year's Day is not always a day that you want to get up early because you've been up so late the night before, and maybe you've had some imbibed in some spirits or something. So anyway, we'll be cognizant of that, and we'll make it at a convenient time, hopefully for everyone. But it is a little bit of a threading the needle kind of thing, because I have some folks in Europe and some folks in the West Coast, and that's a long kind of spectrum to try to average out. But I will work on it, and please have faith. I'll figure it out, okay? But that formal invitation will be coming either later today or tomorrow morning. But I wanted to start this message off to let you know that that's what's happening, hopefully to excite you, because I would love to see you there, all right? And so, pardon me, just needed a little water. I think I told you last time, I like to brush my teeth before I do these videos, because I don't know, it just gives me like a fresh feeling, and of course now I know that there's no like spinach in my teeth or something like that, which I would not notice until like after I'm watching the video, if I even do that. So I mean, there might be images of me with spinach on my teeth that circulate out there. So anyway, that's what I do. But of course, it gives you that kind of toothpastey kind of dry mouth a little bit. So I needed to have a glass of water. Please bear with me. I'm only explaining that to you. I'm not explaining to you on the YouTube because you just saw me do it. But but those of you who are listening to this probably don't understand why I pause like that. You might also from time to time on the audio hear like a little skip or a little repeat, which I just did a moment ago. Sometimes when and this is my, welcoming any technical advice from anybody out there, but I use QuickTime to record these, and sometimes in the middle, QuickTime just freezes, and so I have to, kind of stop and start again. And so sometimes I'm not on the exact syllable where it froze. So that's what that's all about, in case you were wondering. So today, what I wanted to talk about, I want to come back down to some real basics about mindfulness, and this is a lesson that I was kind of teaching to somebody in the last couple of weeks, and as I was explaining this to this person, or the sort of concept of attention, there was a couple of questions that led me to believe that there was a little bit of misunderstanding. And so and this is what happens, right? When I'm working with people and they ask me questions, it's like those questions to me are, what I usually see these things as is that's a sign that maybe there's something that's not completely clear, because if this one person has a question like that, there's probably a lot of other people who have that same question, right? So the idea is that when I hear questions, it gives me an opportunity to say, okay, how can I illustrate this even more clearly so that there aren't any questions? Because a lot of times you can't be asking me the question, right? Because you're just watching this video or listening to the podcast, and I mean, you can always get in touch with me, leave a comment, send an email, art@artburnscoaching.com. I reply to every email sooner or later. I reply to every email. But, yeah, I mean, you can certainly ask that question, but a lot of people don't. And I understand that too. We're all busy. Who has time to chase down a YouTuber podcaster to ask a question about something, right? So let me explain something that I was telling to this, a very basic, lesson on mindfulness. Okay, so this person that I was talking to, was having a real hard time with doing practices. Right now, part of this is a time management concern, right? That this person just has a really busy job, and they, have a busy family life, and it's just like no time to breathe, literally, pun intended, right? And so formal meditation, while I get him to do a couple minutes in the morning before he goes into work, like in the car, in the parking lot kind of thing, we squeeze it in everywhere we can. But now, because of this, and this is true with a lot of people, that we have very busy lives. And so it's hard to find the time to do practice, right? And so for that reason, I often, especially in the beginning of working with someone with mindfulness and coaching someone in mindfulness, I usually start with the very informal practices, right? Because the informal practices don't require us to stop anything. They don't require us to find 10 minutes of time, right? You're literally doing them as you're doing whatever it is that you're doing, right? And so this one person that I'm talking to, he's an avid gamer, okay? And I mean, look, video games are how he, decompresses from a long day at work. Who am I to argue? I mean, it's not what I prefer to do, but if it works for that person, it works for that person, and again, like if I come in as a coach and I start telling you how you got to, give up the things you love, that's not going to work very well. So I try to embrace those things, and let's find a way that we can practice with that thing that you love doing, right? And so one of the ways I did that was, I instructed this person that as you're playing the video games, right, and you're still zapping and bopping and beeping and doing all this stuff on your video games, it's showing you I haven't played video games since Donkey Kong was the thing, like as soon as those 3-dimensional, like what was it, Mortal Kombat, I think was the first of those things that came out. As soon as that came out, I tried it like once or twice, and I was like, my friend kicked my butt so bad I didn't even know what was going on, and I basically never played video games after that in any kind of meaningful way. So, but there's a lot of people who are very into them, and there's nothing, I am not making a judgment about that. Okay, my son is a gamer and he loves it, and I think he's gaining a lot from it. So I'm by no means am I saying because I don't like games that there's something wrong with games. In fact, it's the opposite. If you love it, then you should do it. I mean, that's what life is. If that's your authentic desire, you should follow it. I mean, to the point where it becomes detrimental, right? To the point where, maybe the violence of the games is making you more angry or violent. If that's the case, well, then that's something you got to look at. But if it's not causing you any trouble, then by all means, engage in it. It's beautiful. Do it. So how can we bring mindfulness to playing video games, right? So because really video games, in a sense, are a little bit of a mindfulness practice, right? It's almost like, like it's one of those things you can't just like do it without really paying attention to doing it, right? So just by playing video games, you're automatically practicing mindfulness on a level, right? Not necessarily the most effective level, but it is a form of mindfulness, okay? And so what I asked this person to do was while you're playing your video games, right? Also bring into your awareness intentionally a part of your body, right? And the part that I always ask people to use is the bottoms of your feet, right? Because the bottoms of your feet, you're using them literally all day, every day. Oftentimes they hurt. There's lots of stuff going on at the bottoms of your feet, but we almost never pay attention to the bottoms of our feet. So I invite people all the time to, or that's the most common thing that I said, but I didn't restrict it to that. I said, I'm going to suggest the bottoms of your feet, but if you find it more easier to, use your butt, then use your butt. Doesn't matter to me. But the idea is bring awareness to another part of your body while you're doing the video game, right? And he didn't realize what my motivation here was, but it was, and that is revealed in the question that he asked, right? So the question that he asked, he says, well, hold on a second. If I'm paying attention to my feet, then how am I also paying attention to the video game? And that's exactly true, right? You cannot pay attention to anything. You can only pay attention to one thing at a time. Not that you can't pay attention to anything, but you can't pay attention to two things at once, is what I was going to say. You can only pay attention to one thing at a time. Even if that's for like a nanosecond, you're switching back and forth, right? There's never a time where your attention can be split to two different things, okay? Not your attention. Your awareness, however, can include many different things. Right. And this is how I often describe this. Right. So let's pretend instead of watching a video here of me talking to the webcam, imagine you and I are on a Zoom conference meeting. Right. And I'm actually talking to you right now. Right. So this is how I always describe it with people who I'm in a meeting with. Right. As I'm in the meeting with them. So I'm sitting here. Right. And right now I'm focused on that little green light next to my camera so that I look into the camera and not like down here somewhere, right? So I'm looking and I'm paying attention to that green light, right? And again, if this was somebody I was talking to, I would be paying attention to what we're talking about, right? I would be holding eye contact, right? Again, I am not moving my eyes from that green light next to my camera to ensure that I look into the lens of the camera, right? And as I'm talking, I'm still, forming words, but I'm paying attention to make sure that my eyes are still at that camera, okay, on that green light, right? Now, at the same time, I can see that there's a dartboard on the wall over there. I can see there's a light here. There's another light here. There's a window here. I can see that there's a whiteboard over here. I can see that there's a guitar over there. I can see there's a plant here, a coffee mug here. But yet I am still completely paying attention to the green light on my computer, okay? I know this is harder for you listening to this, but just bear with me, okay? Now, I can see that there's a dartboard over there, right? But if I'm going to continue to pay attention to this green light that I am paying attention to, and also paying attention to what I'm saying, which makes it a little different because expression is, let's pretend the green light is somebody talking, right? And I'm just listening because that makes it a little more simple. So I'm still paying attention to that, right? I'm not missing a detail of what is coming at me, but I can see that there's a dartboard over there. Now, here's the thing. If I were to try to read the numbers on the dartboard, right? Or if I were trying to determine like what color the dartboards were, the dartboard is, or if I were to, try to read what's on the whiteboard down here, I can say there's a whiteboard here. And I can tell that there's writing on it. But if I were to see what that writing says, then I would have to move my attention to the whiteboard. And now I'm still aware that there's a screen here and there's a green light there. So now my periphery is you and my attention is the whiteboard. But now I'm back, and now my attention is you, and my periphery is the whiteboard. The awareness is the whiteboard. Okay. So now in anything that we're doing, this is always available to us, right? We can be aware of what is going on around us without paying attention to all those things that are going on around us. Okay. Dan Siegel talks about this, and I've said this here before, but I'm going to say it again, whether you like it or not. Imagine your awareness, not your attention, but your awareness, everything that you're aware of, right? is an espresso cup filled with water. Let's say you take a tablespoon of salt and you drop it into that espresso cup. That water is so salty, it's going to taste like the ocean. You cannot drink that water unless you really like salt water, right? But now let's say we take the same water, the same salt, and we just change the ratio. And instead of an espresso cup, it's a 3-gallon jug of water that I have up in my kitchen that I use for my drinking water, right? Well, now that same tablespoon of salt in that bigger amount of water, I no longer have any sense of it. I can't even tell that it's there, right? I mean, I can tell that it's there, right? Like maybe I can sense it. There's something there, but it's by no means is it like bothering me, right? If I can even sense it, right? And so that's the same kind of concept that we're talking about, right? So well, let me translate this into a real life situation, right? That's not just talking to a computer screen and using a dartboard on the wall. Let's say you wake up in the morning and your spouse is in a troubling mood of some sort, right? And your spouse is, like cranky, right? And they're snapping and they're, irritating, irritably closing doors a little hard and that kind of stuff, right? Well, now that can be in my periphery, right? And I can recognize that, wow, my wife is having a hard time this morning. Now, I can choose to pay attention to that, and I can go to her and say, hey, is there anything I can help you with? Because it seems that you're having a hard time, right? And she can either take me up on my offer or she can say, no, I'm good, go away, leave me alone, whatever, right? But now here's the thing, right? If I sit there and I say, gosh, it's so unfair that she's in such a grumpy mood this morning. Doesn't she realize how this impacts me? And gosh, why can't she get over it anyway? Like what could it be that's bothering her so much? I mean, doesn't she realize how hard my life is? And why right? So at this point, right, I'm paying attention now to my wife's inner mental goings on that, quite frankly, are none of my business, really are not mine to worry about. And ultimately, if I'm paying attention to that, then that's what I'm paying attention to. And what I'm not paying attention to is regulating myself and making sure that I have what I need to stay in a good place. And in fact, I'm more likely to lose regulation as I think about that horrible, how dare she be in such a bad mood and take it out on me and blah, 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 blah. As I start doing that and I pay attention to that, then I'm going to start to create an emotional response of my own, right? And that reveals a term that we talk about in neuroscience that goes, where attention goes, energy flows and neural firing grows. Okay? Where attention goes, energy flows and neural connection grows, or neural wiring grows. Okay? That's describing neuroplasticity that I talk about here a lot, right? That the more often I spend paying attention to the dartboard and not to the conversation here, then the more my brain and my mind is going to automatically be distracted by the dartboard and not paying attention to what's happening here. Okay? Now, if that's a general concern of yours or a general problem with that, well, then there's an exercise for that. Okay? Active listening. It's really just practicing being present with the conversation. Write me an email if you want me to explain that practice to you, okay? But even without that, right, even if that's not a problem for you, even if you're not a distracted sort, but you find yourself saying like, oh man, my wife better change the way she's doing things or else it's going to be trouble, right? You got it the wrong way around, my friend. You really do. Because your partner going through whatever your partner's going through, they're going through that, right? And it's got nothing to do with you, And even if it does have something to do with you, even if it's something that you two had a fight or something, and that's what's causing this, or that's the reaction is this thing that she's going through or he's going through. It's not the fight itself that created this. This is their emotional response, right? And if I'm paying attention more to their emotional response, if I'm paying attention to the dartboard up there, I'm not paying attention to the conversation at hand, I'm not paying attention to my own regulation, right? And then what happens? Then I get angry and I get confrontational and I get, moody and I get disgruntled. Whereas if I'm working on my own regulation and I just accept the fact that my partner is having this really hard time this morning for whatever reason, right? But I can pay attention not to that. I can hold that in my periphery, feel compassion for that person, hope that somehow they get to work themselves out, but I can keep myself regulated. Well, then what I don't do is I don't pour a bunch of gasoline on the fire that they're having, right? And I allow myself to remain in a position where I can actually be helpful to that person as opposed to being hindering to that person. And that right there, right, as I'm working on my regulation, as I'm practicing my mindfulness in the face of somebody else's dysregulation, well, what I'm doing is I'm keeping my integration. And as Dan Siegel also tells us, integration is what produces kindness and compassion. So as I stay integrated and I allow that person's, issue of whatever kind to be in my awareness, but not be the focus of my attention, then I can use as the focus of my attention their pain and their suffering. And if I pay attention to their pain and their suffering, well, then I can see past the gruff remarks and the sharp tone, and then I can maybe see what this person needs that I really love. What can I do to help this person? Right? Rather than grappling with, making them do something different, right? So I hope that helps. I hope you see what I'm talking about there and the difference between attention and awareness and the importance of knowing where, what's what, right? That's the biggest thing is knowing where our attention is at any given moment and having the ability to direct our attention back to whatever it is that we want to, whatever it is that's beneficial to us, right? And this comes just through very simple practices we're going to talk about on Saturday, New Year's Day. So I hope you get to join us. All right, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I know it was a little bit quick. I hope it was okay. And I'll be back soon. Take care, everybody. Wish you well.